this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hey, welcome to Get It Right Texoma once again. The trio is usually here. Right now it's a duo. It's me and Terry. Yep. Trey will join us shortly for a little bit. He's going to be here briefly with us because we've got a very special guest coming on today's program. Wichita Falls Mayor Tim Short is going to join us here in a few minutes, and we're going to talk to him about some of the great things happening here in the city. We do record this in the MacTech Solutions podcast studios here in Wichita Falls, Texas. So be sure to check out MacTechSolutions.com, and also be sure to visit our website, Get It Right Texoma. We're on Facebook as well. You should see a QR code somewhere here on the screen. We'll put it somewhere in the corner there for you to click on. That will get you over to GetItRightTexoma.com as well. So that said, let's jump into it because we got a few things to talk about today. We got a lot to talk about with the mayor. We try to focus on a local restaurant each episode that we do, one of our locally owned eateries here, and this time it's going to be McBride's Land and Cattle.
I hadn't been there in a while. I need to get over there.
That's the downtown restaurant, right?
Well, yeah. Well, there used to be one out on Seymour Highway, didn't there?
That was McBride's Seafood and Steak.
Oh, okay. And then this one. Yeah.
This one opened in the mid-'70s, about 75, downtown Wichita Falls on Scott Avenue.
Okay.
Some people call it Scott Street. I think it's actually Scott Avenue. But it's kind of down in the same area as you're going toward Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles as well. And McBride's Land and Cattle, that's our favorite downtown restaurant to go to. It has been for a while. And great steaks. All of these McBride's branded restaurants were owned by the McBride family at one time. And then many years ago, they started selling off those properties. Other people bought them, maintained the McBride branding on the restaurants. One of them has now come back into the family, the McBride's Steakhouse on Maplewood. Ford Swanson owns that, and he's actually the grandson of one of the founding members of the McBride family of restaurants.
We go there periodically for lunch. They've got that steak special every day.
McBride Land and Cattle, I think they're typically open for dinner.
Okay.
So 5 to 9 p.m. Weekdays.
Well, they're open. This on their website or on Google anyway. It's showing that they are open from 5 to let's see. Well, normally 11 to 1:30 for lunch, as well as 5 to 8
for dinner.
Yeah. And then
fantastic restaurant and really good food. It's easy. Fortunately, it's easy to get a good steak around here. And a lot of these locally owned places like McBride Land and Cattle on Scott Avenue, they absolutely do a great job with it. What is their actual address on Scott?
501 Scott Street, I believe is what that was.
501 Scott?
Let me double check it. I pulled up their website in the meantime, but yes, 501 Scott Avenue. Yeah.
So when you go down there, tell them you heard about it on Get It Right Texoma.
Yep, that won't get you much, but
they'll probably just look at you and go, what? Anyway, so, check them out. Cool. McBride Land and Cattle, downtown Wichita Falls since 1975. The original gun show has moved to Burnett, Texas. They're in the community center there now. And then the next one coming up April 11th and 12th. It's $10 per day I guess this is the admission cost is $10 per day, or you can pay $15 and go both days.
Yeah, half price on the second day, man.
There you go.
All right.
So you have that coming up, excuse me, April 11th and 12th. This is in Burnett at the community center, and I cannot think of the name of the street that it's on.
What is the
Burnett Community Center.
Right. Wichita Falls Gun Show, which is it still called the Wichita Falls Gun Show?
I believe so,
Original
gun show.
Well, is it, let's see, but it's in Burke. It's like, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, that one's...
I think that very first one might be it.
Well, that's the Impact.
Okay.
They're no longer at the Impact. That was in December. So let me... the original... We'll find it. Original Gun Show, Wichita Falls. And then, but then it's Burnett. I never remember how to have less of the. That's a bullet gun show. Okay, who knows?
Okay, well, you'll have to search it out. But it's, I'm sorry. The address, the street name just left my brain there. But it is going to be
the community center on Davie.
Davy Drive.
Yeah,
That's
this
it.
is the
Davy
previous one.
Drive. That's it. Okay. So
In April. Yeah. Okay, cool. So there you go.
Very easy to get to. From anywhere in Wichita Falls, you're 15 to 20 minutes away, at most.
Yeah.
20 minutes at most. So that's coming up again April 11th and 12th. Downtown Wichita Falls Development hosting the 17th annual Cajun Fest indoors. The event's going to be held at Bud Daniel Park, Ninth and Ohio. How's it going to be indoors if it's at Bud Daniel Park? Okay. Anyway, Saturday, April the 26th, 11 to 7. And for ticket, you go to ticket information. If you'll just search for Cajun Fest Wichita Falls, that should take you to the downtown development page. They have a landing page, I believe, specifically for Cajun Fest, and you can get tickets there.
Right here.
$7 in advance, $10 at the gate, and kids 12 and under get in free. Now, once you get into the event, there's going to be food. There'll be food vendors. You'll have to pay for the food. So they'll be serving jambalaya and gumbo and boudin and cracklings and all the good Cajun eats, but you got to pay for the food once you get in there. So to get into the event, 7 in advance, 10 at the gate, kids 12 and under get in free, and then you just pay for your food and drink when you get in there. As far as I know, it'll be the same as it has in the past. They don't allow coolers, no glass bottles, anything like that. So, but anyway, that's going to be, that's going to be April 26th.
Yeah.
It's on a Saturday from 11 to 7, downtown Wichita Falls, 9th and Ohio, Bud Daniel Park.
Bud Daniel Park, yeah. There's a whole website, actually, CajunFestWF.com.
There you go.
Everything you need to know.
There you go. Everything you need to know. You got it pulled up there?
Yep.
There we
right
go. There we go. There's the website.
It's CajunFestWF.com. And yes.
Looks like Comanche Red River Casino is the top sponsor, the presenting sponsor.
I'm not sure then with the indoors. Maybe there's a combo.
I don't know.
Indoors, outdoors.
Maybe there's a tent where you can go to get the sun off your head. I don't know. Anyway, so real quick here before we break, because we got Tim Short, Wichita Falls Mayor Tim Short, coming up to join us here in just a few minutes, guys. Did you watch the joint session of Congress?
I did not get a chance to yet. I've
just watched the highlights.
Right.
And, of course, the highlight that everybody keeps landing back on, of course, is Representative Green.
Okay, yeah.
And his interruption from
right?
Texas.
Yeah. Got kicked out. Okay.
Well, so as of the date that we're recording this episode, guys, he has been officially censured by the House. And 10 Democrat House members joined all the Republicans in the censure vote.
Okay.
So now what that means specifically, I don't really know. A censure, I think there's a monetary fine that goes with it or something. But basically, it's like, hey, don't do that again. That was stupid. Don't do that anymore.
Okay. I just Googled and I was typing, what is a Congress? I hadn't even finished the word Congress and congressional when I was suggested congressional censure.
There you go.
So it read our minds.
Obviously, or a lot of people are looking this up.
I'm sure that's probably
an
what it is,
awful lot of people are looking into this, and it's significant because this congressman stands up and interrupts the president's speech, and the speaker 3 times tells him basically sit down, shut up, and he doesn't do it, and finally he has to call the sergeant of arms to escort him out of the chamber. Basically, they much as a bouncer would at the bar, they escorted him out. Okay? Yeah. I mean, it's just like that. I do not understand why anybody would think it's okay to do what he did. You disagree with him? Fine. You disagree with his policies? Fine. You think he's a lousy president? Fine. You are entitled to whatever opinion you want to have. But when you're in that chamber and you're in that moment, you don't have to applaud him, but you damn sure better respect him.
Yeah. Well, but also all of the signs and the
what was up with that?
The whiteboard. The lady was putting up the whiteboard all the time.
This is the one that really got me. Really, just seriously angered me. The little boy who survived brain cancer.
Yeah, nobody
not one Democrat stood up and applauded for him. Not one. They deliberately snubbed this little kid. How dare you?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? What the hell is your soul? What is wrong with you? This is a little kid. He survived brain cancer, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And that's how you treat him?
Yeah.
It would be bad enough if it were an adult man or woman. This is someone's child.
Yeah.
And you snub them like that. That's heartless, cold, and just damn dirty is what it is. Absolutely dirty.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break here. Wichita Falls Mayor Trey's going to join us here for the interview with the mayor. And we got Wichita Falls Mayor Tim Short coming up. Lots of things happening within the city of Wichita Falls.
Oh, yeah.
And things that, by the way, will benefit everyone in this region. Mm-hmm. Some of the great things economically that are happening in Wichita Falls are going to have ripple effects on communities all around Wichita Falls. How does the saying go? A rising tide lifts all boats. There you go.
Something like that.
And it's exactly what's happening, folks. Stick around. More Get It Right Texoma is on the way. Welcome back to Get It Right Texoma with the trio, and our very special guest with us today, as promised, is Wichita Falls Mayor Tim Short.
Good morning.
How are you,
Thank
sir?
you for having me again.
Yes.
I've been here so many times now.
I think you might have been.
Prolific guest.
I'm not. Yeah, I think I was the first guest.
You were the first guest
Okay.
of the.
Wondering when I'll be the last.
And then we had to redo it a couple times.
Yeah. So technical challenges that happened.
Test.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first time.
Yeah.
Well, how's life treating you?
Life is good. You know, I say it and I still mean it. I love this city. I love everything that's happening right now.
Yeah.
We're on a good track. It's our turn.
You know, we had the president of the chamber on a couple of shows back, and he shared a lot of good things with us about stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got some exciting stuff going on in the city.
Yeah.
And there's always, I see people, and we talked about this before we started taping today's episode. It seems like you've got the same 6 or 7 or 8 people that get on social media and just constantly try to talk down everything that's going on around us.
Are we naming names?
No,
Are
I
we
won't.
scrolling names?
Not yet.
Okay.
They keep pushing me. I will.
I think there's 12.
Yeah, okay.
far.
It might be 12, yeah. But it's the same little cabal of people that just keep constantly trying to talk down everything that's going
Against
on.
everything.
They're the cave people, the citizens
right.
against virtually everything.
Right.
And they are. It's like no matter what you do, no matter what you offer, no matter what business is coming to town, they just got to talk it down and make it sound like it's the worst thing ever and it's just going to be the end of the world. And to those people, I say, if you're that miserable here, leave.
Well, I understand, and I do. It's their right. You know, still America.
Of course it is. Of course
still
it
their
is.
right, and I get it, and I meet with as many of them as I can, try to talk to them when I can. Sometimes it's a losing battle, but it's just you can't change.
Well, here for myself, if I were living somewhere where I felt out like I was that miserable, it was that bad, I'd be looking for an exit.
Well,
I really would be.
I had that discussion with a man, at one of Jane Frank's meetings one day, just in the audience, and I said, I have never lived in a place that I was so miserable,
Right.
And I think it kind of dawned on him, how that, his reaction to several things were. He's come by the office. We visited a couple times.
Good.
He goes, well, I grew up here. I live here. He just doesn't agree with a lot of the changes that are going on. That's fine.
That's his right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
so we've had some pretty good talks.
Well, you've had a lot of big accomplishments. How long have you been in the mayor's seat now?
Oh, gosh. Probably a little over a year, 13, 14 months.
And in that little over a year, you and the current council, I mean, a lot of things have happened. one of what I consider a big improvement is we got rid of that derelict hotel by the falls.
Yes.
I was shocked at how fast that thing came down.
It came down in a hurry.
I know, and it deserved to. After
Yes,
how long
Yeah.
it took to
It
get
took
it
to
to
get
that
there.
stage, it deserved to happen so fast. And there were people that said, well, I want to go by there and take some pictures. They had their prom there, or they had done something.
Right.
And,
Yeah, sure,
and they knew it was
sure.
coming down.
Sure.
And thought they had time. And by the time they got over there to take pictures, it was gone.
Yeah.
And
It looks great.
to be fair to everybody, the council before and Santiano, your predecessor, were kind of building that groundwork and working on it.
Yeah.
So we want to give them credit as well.
Absolutely.
Obviously,
yeah.
you and the current
Right.
council get credit, but also them. It's kind of like I always say, the Berlin Wall came down when George Bush was there, but Ronald Reagan sure should deserve some credit for getting that done.
It was a process.
And there were a couple councils before, that were working on that. So we just got to celebrate it and got to be the ones that were around when it happened.
Yeah. So remind us what exactly that property now is going to be used for. How much
Yeah,
you own, how much
yeah.
the city owns, I should say. How much the previous owner still owns some of
Yes.
it, and all that.
Yes.
There's a cooperative effort here. So
Absolutely.
How's that working?
We what do you know? We worked a deal. In the end, and that's what it took was literally sitting in the same room, going back and forth. How are we going to make this happen? So, to answer your question, Terry, I don't own any of it, but I understand. So we better put that on the record. So the city, we own 35%. Okay. We own the part that they're by the river, the floodplain. The part that you just can't do anything on, can't develop, can't do anything. That'll be green space. It'll be park space, probably some benches in the future, maybe playground. We will connect to the trail through there that runs behind it, Lucy Park, back there. We will have a connection to the trail there. The other 65%, the Patels still own that. It is developable land. They can, people build houses in the flood zone. That's in the flood zone. You get flood insurance. You build it up higher. You do the things that you need to do to mitigate.
It'll look like a bunch of houses on the coast.
Right.
Everything will be on stilts.
Right. To put the parking garage underneath it if you want to build another hotel, I guess.
Yeah.
But or they can sell it. They can, they can do with. We talk about it being America. They can do with it as they want now. So
how many acres is it then that they can do with?
I knew that answer a couple months ago.
Is it a couple acres, or it's not. Doesn't look like a huge.
I don't remember.
Okay, well,
good question. I don't remember.
But it's an area that you could build something. And you would think that would possibly be a good space for a hotel.
The part they own was basically where the parking lot was, the whole thing, then back to the north. So the part that we have really didn't affect anything that the hotel had. There was no walkways. There wasn't anything down there. So you could build something as big or bigger than a hotel on it if you want.
Now, the park space that you envision developing there, is that going to be an extension of Lucy Park or something new, something different?
I think it'll be something new. Okay. The master park plan was already going by the time that this stuff, so it wasn't included in any of that. But I don't think it'd be that big a deal initially to, like I said, to connect it to the trail and get a couple benches down there. And see how it's being used. See, we'll take suggestions. Some people want to build an amphitheater on it. Some people want live music. Some people wanted an RV park.
That would be cool.
There's all kinds of things.
The RV park, with it being possibly a flood zone, might be a little tough.
We don't own that part, But you can have playground equipment. You can have that kind of thing, and it can flood all day, and it's not going to hurt a thing.
Right. Yeah, I think an amphitheater, something akin to what Burt Burnett has at Friendship Park, would be very, very good there.
Could be great. There's a lot of support for that. Yeah. I'm sure that there will be folks will talk to us. Committees will be formed. Ideas will be put together.
Oh, sure.
Estimates and costs. It's all it's all about money.
It's a process, though. Just like getting the hotel down and getting that land cleared off. It's a process.
Yes.
It takes time.
Everything's a process.
And it's a government process.
Which moves at the speed of smell.
Almost the speed of schools.
Exactly.
So,
it's slow. So one of the biggest things that, in my opinion, possibly the biggest job you'll ever have as mayor and as a city council, but at least if not the biggest in the top 5, is city manager. So if you could, and obviously there's a lot of NDAs, there's a lot of things you can't say, and we want to 100% respect that. But tell us what you can about the city manager process that's happening now.
Okay. So we hired a research firm.
Which, by the way, real quick, is very common.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about hiring a CEO, let's say a CEO of a medium-sized corporation.
Absolutely.
And you don't put the Times Record News for that. So you have this is a
Who would see it?
Yeah,
it's true. Or Indeed. This is a big deal. So anyhow, just go ahead.
He said that out loud.
Yeah.
He said the quiet part out loud. We could run an ad on here, and more people would see it.
I spent years trashing them when I was on school
Oh
board, so
gosh!
I think God love them. I think that so we did get a firm because it's a national search.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
It truly a CEO with 1,300 employees. It's almost a $300 million budget. It's a big deal. There are educational requirements. This is not somebody's first job.
Right.
So that being said, it is a national search. We had almost 100. I heard 103, and then it was 99, I believe, the official applicant total in the beginning when we started this. We are down to our final 5, I believe, at this point. And we'll have some in-person interviews, visits, and whittle that down, and hope to have that done this summer. Make a decision, but we're looking for specific things. It's not somebody's first job. I want somebody who is a proactive. Well, we would like somebody who's a proactive problem solver, who is economic development is not a bad word. That manages the financials well. I can tell you that Wichita Falls is in the position that it is because of our past, which is in a great financial position because of our past city managers. They were awesome and got us in this position. So now we're here, and when I said earlier it's our turn, we can take the next step. We have the ability to do it. I think, I don't know who watches this, but I think Abilene has, spent their money already, and they've done a good job, and they've grown. I think Amarillo's kind of a hot mess right now. So, we are in a position to strike. We are in a position to act on things as they come up. We want a city manager who's proactive that will be able to do that type of thing.
I think
we're thankful to the past ones for the work that they did to get us here.
I think somebody who's growth-minded. Somebody who's got a mindset of, look, we've got opportunities to grow here.
Yeah.
We've certainly got a room to grow.
We ain't sure of room, yeah.
Well, the ones that we have, our final ones that we have are national. I mean, and some from, I'm going to be careful, but some from bigger cities, some from smaller, but they everybody wants to live in Texas. Texas is the draw for it. So, and this is in the city manager, and I'm not one and never have been one, but I understand it's a job where you're there for 4 or 5 years, and then you move on, and you're constantly moving up. Fine.
You should be like the Methodist preacher model.
Absolutely.
The old Methodist preacher model.
Come here.
Circuit riders.
Absolutely. Do a great job, build that resume even better, and go with our blessing, and go do that in Fort Worth or San Antonio or wherever.
And do great things while you're here to enhance that resume.
By definition, those jobs are nomadic.
Right.
Yeah.
Nomadic. You normally, not pneumatic.
Pneumatic.
Yeah, nomadic. Yeah, and city managers, school district superintendents, generally the best ones are not ones who grew up there, born there, raised there, going to die there. It's people who come in, they make some changes, they and it's a strange culture, because you talk about somebody that shows up into a town and completely engulfs themselves into that town, that city, and just completely becomes part of it, and then goes away.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's like this. You get somebody that's going to show up that brings a different perspective,
right,
from a different place. They've seen things we haven't seen. They've had experiences we haven't had.
Yes.
And maybe they bring something to the table that we haven't even thought of yet.
Yes, and they look at things. They look at things differently, and maybe there are obviously things that can be done better. They look at efficiencies that can be. Well, look, we did this way. We had. We hired outside consultants that helped us with this, that engineers or whatever, we didn't have to have them on staff. We had a group that we could call when we needed them. We You know, they weren't afraid to outsource some things, which may be or may not be an answer to some efficiencies and money savings. So, but we want them to mentor maybe the next group, you know, of city managers and people that are their directors, you know, help them, mentor them. And that's one thing that we're looking for, and we want to help them build their resumes, help them build Wichita Falls, and then help them move on.
I was watching somebody else's podcast a while back, listening to somebody else's podcast a while back, rather, and they were talking about local development in their area, and it's, you know, the two big things that they were really focused on in city government there, where they were opportunities for people. And job growth, the employment growth, and obviously any community you're in, no matter where you're, Texas, no matter what state you're in. I mean, you got to have stuff for people to do. They got to have a reason to want to get out and move around and do things.
Right.
But also they got to have a way to make a living.
Yeah. True.
And I mean, does that sound? I mean, we're kind of in the same boat, aren't we, as everybody else in that situation, aren't we?
You would think. However, we have discovered through some of this search that there are cities that have grown so quickly. Yeah, they're trying to tap the brakes, and they have, you know, maybe new councils or new leadership that's going. We're overwhelmed. We need to tap the brakes, and then but maybe their leadership wants to move on because they're in growth mode, and that's what they need. That's what they know how to do. So they did it there. They need to come and do it here. They need to come and help us.
Because we're ready.
Here.
Yeah. We're not ready to tap the brakes. We're ready to get on the gas.
Well, it's like Terry pointed out a while back. You know, if we grew just 1% a year, just 1%.
I know.
You know, right now that would be what, about 1,110 people or so, 1,105 people or so.
How awesome is that?
You know, if we could just grow by 1% annually over the next decade or decade and a half.
Right. And you have to think about the things that brings. And I'm sure we've talked about these things before. Where are we going to put them? Where's the inventory of homes? Where are they going to live? So if we struck that great deal and all of a sudden 1,500, you know, they brought 1,500 of their employees, plus we're hiring folks that are here, where are they going to live?
I know a guy who can build them for you, and I know a guy who can sell them.
Yeah.
Henrietta, Iowa Park, you know, Burke. We're gonna help those places grow because some folks are just going to want to live in a smaller place. Yeah. Generally, they want, you know, about a 12-minute commute. They want the affordable housing. We check a lot of boxes, and we have those things. Yeah. But we don't have enough of it. So we have had a couple of national home builders. I'm not breaking news. We have had a couple of national home builders that you would know the names of that have come in that are identifying land, going, we can put 200 houses here, we can put 150 houses here. They're actively looking at coming in and being able to do that.
One of them's building out by the base now.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Where's that being built?
Tinker.
By Tinker, yeah.
Tinker Trail.
And it doesn't. You go, well, what about your local guys? Well, I love our local home builders, but they don't have the capacity or the desire to build $150,000 houses. You know, that's not their model. That's not what they do. They build custom homes, you know, but in every other city that we compete with, and whether it's Abilene or even Lubbock or Tyler or, you know, Amarillo, they have these development. These are your first houses.
And these are
you
nice.
Move out, and it's somebody else's first house, and they're nice homes. These are 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses. You'll be a very busy man. So, you know, selling homes, that's one of the problems. It's a good problem, but that's one of the problems that has to be solved when we do this.
Well, it's like the development out there by the base. You know, Lance Friday Homes has built several homes out there, and we've sold a few. Yeah. And
they're great homes.
Yeah, they're great homes, and these are not $300,000 and $400,000 houses.
They're nicer
these are
than my first
$220,000, $30,000, $40,000 houses, and they're beautiful inside. They're and very efficient homes, but we need more of that, and we're going to have more of that as we bring more people here. We're going to have that development.
Yeah,
it's going to have to happen.
So, you know, that's been thought of.
Yeah,
you know, that's one of the things, you know, that you have to think of. Obviously, those high schools. We were the only city in America that built 2 big high schools like that.
Yeah.
Love those high schools. when Amazon came here, when a couple of the other places yet to be named have come in, and we take them to lunch, and they get we buy them a hat, and they go to the rodeo, and we show them our city, and where their employees are going to live. We show them MSU. We go through these places. They want to see the schools.
Yeah.
So and they because they want their people to to be educated, obviously, but they want to see. One of them told me that shows the community's willing to invest in education to that length they're in, because they see, we're growth oriented. If we're willing to do that, have a guy that's flying in here hopefully this month, that's already done some things in our city that specifically is touring the schools, because he's looking at developing a few more entertainment venues here that will be really nice if we can get that done, specifically flying in, first stop, schools.
Right. Yeah.
And he's going to get that tour.
And these are check boxes that if they don't check that box, we're off the list.
We are, or we go to the bottom. Yeah. And we've been there. I've said so many times that we sat around for so many years and waited for the phone to ring, and in sales it doesn't work. So and that's the way you have to do it. You have to pursue it. And when your phone's not ringing and nobody's walking in your door, well, you better be knocking on doors, and you better be calling people. So we're going places, we're seeing people, we're calling out, we're taking people to lunch. How many deals get done at lunch? Oh
yeah.
So we're actively doing that.
I used to say that all the time. How many multi-million-dollar deals got done at the Wichita Club? Down back in the days when the oil boom was going?
A bunch.
Million-dollar handshake deals were done right there at the Wichita Club.
We spent last week in Washington, D.C.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
The swamp. So we went to the swamp. And specifically for Sheppard Air Force Base, specifically we met with Ted Cruz. We met with Cornyn's representatives. We had dinner with Ronnie Jackson. I mean, we in close quarters with 10 or 15 of us and them, standing there visiting with us and taking questions and talking to us about this, about how important it is. And the amazing thing is when we go make these personal visits and go talk to these folks, they're happy to see us. They appreciate it because nobody does it. So all the other places kind of start to take it for granted, but we're there actively lobbying and talking about, this is 40% of our economy. We'd like another mission. If this, when you hear the word Sheppard, or hear something, mission, we'd like you to think about us. We want to be on the top of your mind. And that's how you get there. Yeah. Just by simply building that network and that relationship. Yeah. We spent Wednesday in Austin doing the very same thing. Met with Senator Hagenboo, met with James Frank, and talk about the same things. I think we're kind of on the top of their mind anyway, but that's effort. And effort gets rewarded. And if you work hard enough, sometimes you get lucky. So that's what we're actively pursuing.
On that very topic, local social media has been all worried about Trump leaving NATO.
Oh, yeah.
So how did that come up at all? Because we have the INJEPT program.
Yes, we do.
And NATO is in the name.
President Trump did not meet with me. I know. I know.
He must have had something.
I sent a card ahead of time.
He must have had something else.
He missed out as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. He had some much.
When we actually walked through the White House, they were in the middle of that cabinet meeting.
Yeah.
That they televised. That was actually going on.
You didn't just bust in on that deal?
Yeah. Well, I knocked on the door.
Yeah.
They saw who it was, and they did not let me in. Yeah. But and wouldn't expect them to. But yes, those concerns are real. When we were in the Pentagon, we had 2-star generals. We had a full meeting with a 4-star. Those concerns are real. And there is anxiety that's being created, and I wish I had a good answer.
Right.
My thought is, just my opinion, is that no, we're not leaving NATO, and hopefully they're not running breaking news as we're doing this, that we're leaving.
I don't think we are. I think these are negotiation tactics.
INJEPT is too important, and they all recognize it because every one of those generals, which is amazing, most of them were here. They trained here. They were like, oh, I did my flight training there in 1990. I was there. My brother was there.
I hung out at P2 or whatever. Yeah.
One of the 2-stars' son is in the NJET program right now, and he's coming down next week just to visit. So we're arranging, where he's going to stay.
Well, I've said this before.
You're not going to make him stay at Billington?
He is not.
So I have said this before, and I think that, and this is not to say I'm after trying to get us out of NATO and ending this program at all, but what I wanted to point out is, and I did a little research the other day with the help of ChatGPT, and these numbers may be not exact, but certainly it's pretty. It's in the neighborhood.
Right.
Something that I think that gets overlooked at Sheppard Air Force Base is the fact that there are many more tech training students that graduate out of Sheppard than, it dwarfs what the pilot training is.
Right.
Like 60,000?
Yeah, 65,000 a year.
A year.
Yeah.
And then we're talking how many hundreds, not even several hundred actually, a year of pilots. Sure, they're here longer.
Yeah, right.
And it costs a lot more per
9 months.
student.
Yeah.
But it gets more attention, and it's and it's about the same staff size, maybe, or is there 1,000 over there of permanent party, and then here, but there's a lot more still. That's my point is that just overall, if NATO, if we left in that program, and that program could, in theory, end whether we stay in NATO or not.
Right, yes.
So we need to be on that, and that's why y'all are doing this,
Yes.
not because President Trump said
Right.
anything about leaving,
Right.
but because it's an important program. In theory, it could go somewhere else. We've got to advocate for our thing. So we need to keep that and the other, but realize that 65,000 students
65,000.
go through that
50%
place.
of the Air Force comes through Sheppard Air Force Base every year. They're very
There you go.
cognizant and aware of that.
Wow.
We're the only base that does train the pilots and the maintainers.
Right.
So
Well, right.
it's
And I
it's
just-
not that easy to replace, and,
Right.
and they are on it.
Well-
Did you know that we are the largest contingent of the Saudi Air Force in the world, except for Saudi Arabia?
I've heard that.
And not a single pilot. It's 250 of them, and they're all maintainers.
Right.
We had dinner at the Saudi embassy when we were there. They're looking to grow that.
Right.
We had dinner with the Germans at their embassy one night while we were there. They're thrilled with Sheppard. How the community embraces both places talked about how the community embraces Sheppard, how their folks are comfortable and safe, and they're proud to be here. They work hard to get here. And they love it here, and they love Texas, and they love cowboy hats, and they said our boots are too expensive, And I said, like your Mercedes, the good ones, last a long time. So it's I feel very good about it, and it was wonderful to meet them and shake their hands and see how good. We can talk about how much we love it,
Right.
But it was really nice to hear
See how
much they love it. The Saudi.
The one
talked
thing-
about, they call them their children. Thank you for taking such good care of our children.
I guess that's where the rubber meets the road with Sheppard. It's how the outsiders view it.
Yes,
Yeah,
because they're the ones that are paying to be here.
One of the problems that you have with like what you said, the tech people, is they don't make movies about people working on aircraft and stuff.
Right.
And so it's not top of the mind awareness, but it's the same thing as like in the education system. When people talk about education, they talk about teacher, which is great. You got to have the teachers to with that. But everybody else, the teachers can't do their job without everybody else there first.
Right.
And it's the same thing.
Those planes don't fly without the maintainers.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's why it works.
And that's not to take anything away from the pilots. They
No,
have
no,
their
no, no.
job.
It's
We all
all
have.
important.
It's a total force. Takes everybody to do it, and we should do it efficiently. And I think I'm
But it's not a sexy job.
Right.
not all. Well, no. Sometimes. Well, I thought it was kind of cool. And,
Well, yeah, no, but
although I
yeah.
didn't like working on the flight line that much for 2 years. So
Yeah, and it is good, and they do love it here, and that was
That's awesome.
That made us all feel better about it. No definitive answers, but the folks that are here love it here, and we love having them.
Wichita Falls Mayor Tim Short has been our guest. So, Mayor, is there anything coming? We talked a little bit about new stuff coming here and growth, job growth, and opportunity growth, and all that. Is there anything coming that you can talk about right now? Is there any big reveal we could Any breaking news we can break here, perhaps?
People are, I don't know if it's breaking. I think people are not necessarily paying attention to that Winco supermarket that's currently being built. I still get questions of what is that? What's going on over there? It's a fantastic facility that's going on over there. They are nationwide. Yeah. And they started in Oregon. They love Texas. There'll be good jobs there. That's a good place. People are, we talk about Vitro and what they're doing. It's $390 million investment in building a new line. It will be the largest solar glass facility that's anywhere in the world other than China. And we have it. So all the other solar glass in the world right now is made in China. We're about to have our own.
Good.
Sitting right beside the largest hemp factory in the world. The only other largest ones in France that's in the northern hemisphere is here. So, and they're going to be neighbors out there. So
on my drive in this morning, I saw a rig pulling in with more product, more raw product.
They're adding a third shift.
Biotech, yeah.
People think that there's nobody there. I go, well, they park in the back, but they're trying to add a third shift. So it's been very successful, and it's a great place. At one last thing on Vitro, that's 300 jobs. That are 68,000 to 90-something thousand. These are good jobs, and that's what they're doing. When you drive by and you see where the retention pond is, well, that's where the new line will be. It'll go all the way there, and it'll go straight north all the way through the parking lot. Yeah. And it's an amazing facility.
Well, I remember,
what an investment! They could have done that anywhere, and they where are we going to spend this money? We're going to spend it in Wichita Falls.
It's been a number of years ago. They brought in a large flat glass production line there. It was like $50 or $60 million investment. This is many times that.
And they're Mexico owned.
Yeah.
I mean, and they come up and we've met with them and they love it here just for the same reason that all of us do.
So what is being built as you're coming into it? I guess it would be on the south side of the highway over pretty close to the jail.
Oh, yeah, just right around where the flyover.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
No, before you even get to that.
Oh.
Yeah, if you're it's really close to the jail.
But
behind
I
the
meant
jail
flyover.
is Amazon.
Just out. No, that's behind the jail.
That's back behind there. Yeah, there's something that's being built.
Yeah,
really
just prior to. Yeah, it's like prior. Well, no, it's right there at the one that flies over the on 287 flies over the railroad track.
Oh yeah, it's not the flyover. Yeah.
That's what I
it's just that first overpass right there.
I can't picture it.
There's something being built
like a
right.
warehouse thing.
Yeah, it looks like a industrial building. It doesn't look like a retail facility. That's being built right there, real close on the highway. So,
okay, can't picture it. Okay,
yeah, that's where they're moving Fort Knox to. Don't you?
There you go.
Don't you know? Yeah,
if there's any gold.
Yeah.
So, and those are the things I can talk about. There are 2 or 3 other things that I'm really looking forward to being able to talk about. Within the next 6 months. So in the last 13 months, there's been a little over $1 billion in commercial construction in Wichita Falls, Texas, and that is a record by far. It was a record at $600 million, so it's certainly a record when we were at $1.2 billion, and we're trying to break that this year. So, while we fix the potholes and take care of vicious dogs and and take care of all the rest of the things.
And there's all you're always
our budget.
You're always going to have those infrastructure issues to deal with. That's going to be an ongoing thing.
And those are important.
Perpetuity. Yeah. I mean, it's just going to happen.
We work on those every day too. So hopefully, with a little, if anything, I'm proud of a lot this last year is that we've. I know there's going to be examples, and I'm going to get phone calls. Our customer service has gotten better. In whether it's in permitting or fixing those potholes or doing those things,
caused that?
That's gotten better.
Why?
It's attitude, and it's intentional, and you know it because you have a retail business and you hire people and you talk to your people about, hey, treat people the way you want to be treated.
What changed internally though recently that seems to have done that? Have you had any influence over that?
It's intentional, and you visit with you visit with folks. People don't want to be mean. No. People want to. They live here too. Right. The city's an easy target, and we have some great folks that work at the city, and now they're free to help. There's been some training, but they realize they're dealing with their friends and neighbors, and they want to help.
That's a really good way to put it.
Everybody has a bad day, And there are examples of when it doesn't work.
You are dealing with your friends and neighbors. It's
say,
really who you're dealing
treat
with.
people the way you would like to be treated, but I tell them, treat people the way you'd want your mom to be treated, and it kind of changes it just a little bit as when you answer that phone or when you take that call.
Treat people like they're your customer, because they really are.
They are.
If they didn't live here and pay their taxes, at some point you wouldn't have it. Not everybody have a job.
And they're
Amen to
captive.
that.
They're captive customers, and I think you get lazy,
Yes.
and it's just human nature. So restating how important that is in how we treat people has paid major dividends.
Well, to you and everyone who's had a hand in that, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Real quick, City Hall, been undergoing a lot of renovations, a lot of work. You had 2 or 3 years of foundation rebuilding and shoring up and getting everything right there. Now the focus has moved to the interior of the building. How far along is that project, and when is City Hall anticipated and Memorial Auditorium anticipated to reopen?
March of 26, 1 year from now.
1 year.
Every time I see Anthony Inman, I said, "Are you finished?" And he says, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Are we there yet? Are we there yet, Dad? So it looks wonderful. We will tour it again. We see it every quarter. So if you guys want to go, if anybody wants to go, it'll be on the agenda probably in April. So check the agenda, and it'll right at the end before we adjourn. It'll say tour of municipal auditorium or municipal, City Hall. So and the public's welcome to go. So and we walk through the whole thing, and it's I've seen it from total tear out, abatement to now being framed. It's starting to take shape, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful to see, and it will be worthy of our city. And it was it was a 1926 when they built it, and then they renovated it in 1964.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a 1964 model myself, and I could use some work.
Well, part of that building was built on an old lake bed, wasn't it?
And it was sliding down the hill.
Oh, yeah.
And
those two wings were just pulling away.
Yeah. The citizens said, no, we don't want a new one, voted that down, didn't want to do it. But so we're fixing what we have. But it's more than a Band-Aid, and it will be incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And it will be incredible because I believe in that one women's restroom, there's 14 stalls instead of 3 now. So, and they're all on the floor when you walk in, including the men's, so you don't have to take the stairs a half a flight up to find a restroom anymore.
Thank
the
you.
Council chambers will be where the water department is now. So you'll walk in, and it's huge. We'll see so many more people. We've been amazed now that we're at the MPEC in that auditorium, and sometimes there's not that many people there, but when there needs to be, we have room for them, and we'll have room to put the public, and it can't be more transparent than being right there on the first floor, to your left. Come on in. So, but we'd love to have folks come and tour it with us. Like I said, I believe it'll be April. Will be our next one. So just check the agenda.
Well, I've long said that I think the most important things that we can have in government at any level, local, state, federal, doesn't matter. It's accountability and accessibility and opportunity for people to take part in it. And it sounds like all that's being created here.
Transparency.
And the transparency, yes, but the accessibility and the accountability, government's got to be accessible to people. People have got to be able, and that's the nice thing about here is, somebody can pick up the phone and call you. God knows how many people in this town have your cell phone number.
Yeah, all of them.
Call. They can call you. They can reach you. They're going to run into you at the grocery store.
Sure.
They're going to run into you at the church. They're going to run into you in all kinds of places. And the same thing with the council members.
Right.
The rest of them.
And they do.
You're going to encounter them. So having that accessibility is extremely important. And it sounds like even there in City Hall, you're creating that environment and making it even better.
We do, and we want that, and we encourage it, and we advocate for it. And the next thing that's coming up while we're hiring a city manager, while we're doing these things, we'll do our budget process over these next several months. We'll post it online. They're open meetings. The public can sit there at the MPEC and watch the whole thing. It's not in the chambers. It's just in another big round table. A lot of folks from the public were there last year. We want that. We encourage that. They get up and speak when we're talking about, this is something we're trying to do, whether it's pay raises or finally negotiating a contract with the fire department for a couple of years so we can take that off the table. and know what that expense will be every year. Any other ideas that we have are, lowering taxes potentially, instead of raising taxes. But come to those meetings, please. It's better when you see, you'd like to see 100 people there instead of 3. So, you can be part of the process in Wichita Falls very easily.
And by the way, everything's online. So if you can't make it in person, you can go online and watch us, which I think was a great game changer.
Yeah, watch it on Facebook.
It used to drive me nuts when I was on the school board, and you would have these important meetings that had to do with budgets and everything else, and nobody'd show up. But boy, you get talking about firing a coach, and holy crap!
I know.
Yeah,
everybody shows up.
You got people hanging from the rafters.
Yeah, we had good participation last year. And because of that participation, and because of when you take a break and you get to talk to people in the hallway and stuff, probably some things turned out different than they would have been had somebody not gotten in our ear about them. So don't be shy.
It's input. It's called taking input.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. You can. Everything starts locally, and you can literally have an effect on the way votes are going to go and ideas that come up. We can't have all the good ideas, so it's just not possible. So I'll steal them and I'll give you credit for them, but we need help with that stuff, and we're encouraging that.
Amen, brother. Wichita Falls Mayor Tim Short, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Sure.
If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out more about what's going on with the city, what's the best way to do it?
Just call me. It's like I said, everybody's got that number, so it's 636-7306. Call me, text me, email me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty. You'll see it at the grocery store. I'll see you at church. I'm pretty easy to get hold of.
You're probably one of the most accessible people we've ever had in the mayoral position, I think.
Well, that can be good and bad.
It depends on which side you're on,
it depends on if you're pitching or catching.
I think both. I think Stephen Santiano was as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think both of you guys.
Yeah.
I think you guys are both. I think he kind of started that new trend of being very accessible, and I think you've continued that trend.
He's got another office though with his name on the door.
I know. Yeah. It's Stephen set a good model.
I think he was kind of the first of the very accessible, seemed like very accessible mayors, and I think you've continued that on.
I've talked to a lot of folks in the restaurants, and it's hard when your food's getting cold sometimes, but you just kind of figure it out. It's a process.
And it's not. And by the way, just for anybody who's watching, if Tim or anybody's in the middle of dinner, especially with their family, don't bug them. Just say, hey, can I talk to you at some other point and stuff like that, because there comes a point when enough's enough as well. Yeah. So just remember,
we make it work.
Yeah.
Mayor, thank you for being here. We look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you so much.
Guys, we'll break here. We'll be back and we'll wrap it up. More Get It Right Texoma on the way. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to Get It Right Texoma. We are running way along here. We want to thank Wichita Falls Mayor Tim Short for coming in and joining us. Lots of great information there. And again, I encourage you, if you live in Wichita Falls or anywhere in the surrounding area and you want to know what's going on in Wichita Falls and how it's going to benefit your community or where you live or how it's going to benefit the city, reach out to the mayor, reach out to City Hall, reach out to your local officials, your city councilors, and talk to them. All you got to do, make a phone call, look them up, ask them, hey, can I get 10 minutes of your time? I promise you, they'll talk to you. Don't just speculate and don't just complain.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Get information. Get facts. That's the big thing. Get the facts.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm not necessarily a subscriber of, if you will, of the notion that you can't make a concern. Bring up a concern without a solution, because sometimes you just don't have the expertise.
Right.
But in a work environment, sometimes I think that's really you should be more familiar enough that you can make some suggestions. But be respectful.
Let's all communicate. Let's just communicate. Communication can solve a lot of problems.
Yes,
it can fix a lot of problems real quick. Well, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you joining us for this episode of Get It Right Texoma, once again brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls.
He'd be here, but
Yeah, he would be there, but he's not there. Right? He had to go. Since 1966, EddieHillsFunCycles.com. MacTech Solutions, 4020 Ray Road, Suite 3B. Your local Apple specialist. If you need Apple authorized service, this is where you get it done. They sell every Apple product under the sun except the Vision Pro
and the iPhone.
The only two things you can't buy here, but they can repair your iPhone.
Yes.
So if you got a cracked screen, you got device issues, bring it to MacTech Solutions, 4020 Ray Road, Suite 3B, Wichita Falls. This is the place to get it done. MacTech-Solutions.com, their website. Also brought to you by Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop, your online bakery, lpsweet.com, the website. On Facebook, Lolly and Pop's, Lollie is how you spell Lolly, Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop. And products now available. We just sold out of all the king cakes that they had for us that we had available for them at Country Blooms and Gifts and Boutique, located at Highway 240 and Daniels Road in Burke Burnett. And we have more product headed their way. You'll be able to find some of our king cakes, pecan pie slices, some of our cookies and fudge and other delights are going to be available at Country Blooms and Gifts and Boutique at Highway 240 and Daniels Road in Burke Burnett, Texas. And we want to thank them for their partnership with our business as well. Guys, thank you for joining us again. GetItRightTexoma.com, the website. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to like our Facebook page and share it with everybody you know. Get It Right Texoma, easy to find on social media. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, take care. We shall see you down the road.